So, welcome back. I started playing a new game, which I ended up getting really into. The name of the game is called Medieval Dynasty. So pretty much it's a survival game where you're supposed to build pretty much like your own little village. You then recruit other AIs or personnel to your village, and you pretty much manage them, and they'll produce you more materials, which will allow you to progress further through the game. So, pretty much in order to make progress, you'll have to do various quests across the lands in order to build up dynasty reputation, which then will be used for recruiting people to your settlement. I hope you enjoy some of the gameplay, and let me know if you have any recommendations, comments, or questions, and I'll be sure to answer. Another thing is I ended up starting this game. You'll get like a cutscene that kind of shows what happened to you and your family, and why you ended up how you ended up surviving from a war where you then were left alone pretty much with bare minimum and sent to specific lands in order to survive. I ended up forgetting to kind of record the intro, but I did pick off somewhere in the spring, I believe, so you'll be able to see some of the gameplay. So, if you end up exploring across the lands, you'll eventually come across certain camping grounds. Early in the game, it seems like they're not really protected by bandits, or any kind of animal. So, early game is kind of best to go explore and collect whatever materials. Sometimes the camping grounds will end up hooking you up with better tools, such as like copper pickaxes or copper or iron pickaxes and axes, and you'll be able to find bows, clothes, and also sometimes bags. So it's a good idea to go explore. So, when you first end up starting the game, you pretty much end up without a backpack, or you're very limited to which way you could actually carry. So, you're gonna have to be selective on the type of things you actually carry in your inventory. So, I recommend building the house where you can store some items in, and whenever you get access to a storage, definitely build that as soon as possible so you can store more items. Storages hold a lot more than houses do, but houses will kind of help you early in the game. And you'll be able to find different potions that increases your carry weight throughout the world, or you could eventually craft them. You'll be able to come across pouches and backpacks. Pouches and backpacks are separate, so you could end up combining both of those, get a type of backpack plus a pouch in order to increase your weight by the maximum amount. So there's a couple vendors throughout the lands that you could end up visiting. Just ask a merchant within the city about vendors, and then go to production and go to seamstress, and they'll pretty much tell you which city to visit in order to purchase clothing and backpacks from. I chose to build right next to this city, right in this spot, just because it's like right next to a body of water, and eventually, like, you have to pretty much manage your thirst and food. So this was an easy way to get water. Little reeds, which if you gather from them, pretty much, which straw is a very important resource.
A newcomer. Hello there.
So that's pretty much why I built here. Also, it's easier to see. And also,
it's nice to meet you.
You're pretty much close to 2 towns, so it's really easy. So yeah, you could also have access to stones.
Hail, friend. Goodbye.
Right here. So if you decide that you need clay. So, on my first playthrough, I found hunting to be very difficult because I was pretty much chasing animals around on foot with a spear and also a knife and axe. With the wooden spear, I think the wooden spear is not as great as of a weapon for actually hunting. I think you have better chances of hunting animals and stuff with the pickaxe or just a regular axe or a skinning knife. For some reason they do more damage, so I recommend using that. You're gonna have to kind of like slowly creep up on the animal in order to pretty much be able to get them, and then once you damage them, they'll definitely slow down, so you'll be able to keep up with them a little bit easier. So that's kind of a strategy. But one of the best tools for hunting is definitely the bow and arrows, or bow and arrows. So you want to try getting your hands on a bow as soon as possible. If you end up holding back the bow and pretty much hitting the target right in the back, kind of like on the butt area, they'll eventually, they'll start bleeding and bleeding out. So they'll slow down as they take damage over time, and they'll probably eventually bleed out as well. Or you could try getting headshots, which is pretty much a one shot, one kill. But if you end up going for the head, it's a smaller target, and unless you are very good with the bow, you're more likely to miss. you're exploring the world, eventually you'll come across knocked over wagons. Within those wagons, or around those wagons, you'll be able to find various objects or items. Sometimes it's food, sometimes it may be a tool or a weapon or seeds. So it's definitely worth checking those out, especially early game. That way you have an easier time getting started. Most of the times the knocked over wagons can be found traveling down roads. So you'll eventually be given the option to chat with NPCs, where you could recruit them to your village, where you'll have to assign them to a house. So you'll have to have a house built up specifically for the NPCs that you recruit. Inside the houses, you could only have one woman and one man. You cannot put two of the same type of genders within the house. So you pretty much want to make sure whether, or if you end up recruiting two women or two men, that you have to have pretty much two houses built for each occasion. You could and also another thing to take into consideration is if you end up combining those two individuals, eventually they become close, and the women will end up getting pregnant eventually, which will then have a baby. And
Best goods in the valley.
once she becomes a mother, pretty much she's unable to do work for 2 years. So you're left without a worker for that period of time. So in early game, if you don't want that to happen, and you want to kind of focus on production, you kind of want to keep your villagers separate, just so there's not a chance of pretty much coupling.
Have a good day.
So that's just one idea to kind of keep into consideration. Eventually, later down the line, or later on, you'll pretty much be required to pretty much get a wife of your own to continue your dynasty within the game. But one thing you could also do is I definitely recommend getting the wife early on, but you kind of want to watch out for good stats, because eventually, so the babies that you end up having are pretty much an average between both of your stats, between the men and the woman stats. So you definitely want to probably increase your stats as much as possible before having the baby. So that way, once you pass on the dynasty to I guess your heir, they'll pretty much have the best stats possible. So what you could do is kind of power level some of your skills, and then pretty much decide to continue on with the dynasty and pretty much romancing and getting your wife pregnant, pretty much. So that's pretty much the idea. Also, you can make your villagers happier, and they'll increase their stats based upon how well their house is, and also a certain decoration throughout the village. And once they kind of level up, you could keep on passing on the genes for the skills, and you could kind of keep getting better skilled workers for like future generations. So that's pretty much that. So this concludes this episode of Medieval Dynasty. I'll be breaking up each video into seasons. So just because this was the first season, there wasn't that much gameplay, but from now on, you'll probably be getting more gameplay, just because I'll be starting from the beginning of the season to the end. I eventually increased the days to 5 days per season, so you get a little bit more experience that way. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I do have some prior experience from playing off of or before recording, so I decided to started to play again from the beginning, and wanted to record the experience to kind of share. So let's continue onward and enjoy this playthrough and gaming experience. So take care, peace out.